Hello, my family. This video is, we are definitely having some coffee time out of this. I found something highly disturbing and I never realized it. Actually, today, for some reason, I took some time out to do a little bit of checking things out. I've been seeing some stuff online and I thought, honestly, I thought it was some crazy information, but to some point, it's not. It literally was speaking truth. And I'm going to share that with you, along with a few things that I have absolutely learned. Um, Blows my mind, and I want to share a few things with you. I'm fixing to grab a few things, and when I do, we will come back and we will start doing some talking. And we are back. So, let's talk crackers. I absolutely love my wheat thins, and especially this tomato basil. I like the vegetable flavored crackers and the Cheez-Its and all of these things. Now today I just had this, and I've never done that before. Something just led me to look, and when things are led me to look, I tend to follow. As crazy as it may seem, I tend to follow. And when I followed, what I learned just absolutely blew my mind. Y'all, I have been doing this for over a year now. I have been on YouTube with you. You have seen our progress with us improving our health from the beginning of my YouTube channels to where we are at today. And I continue to learn more and more. Today, I really had this hankering for crackers and tuna fish for lunch. And I'm going to tell you, I opted out for a salad. And I'm going to tell you why. As I was going through the stores looking at my crackers, I told you I was led to look. And when I looked, I was totally blown away. Now, I already know that crackers have carbs, especially, everything has carbs in it. And I get that. Now, my wheat thins for 15 pieces have 21 grams of carbs. There's also 2 grams of fiber. So that knocks this down to 19 grams of carbs for 15 pieces. There's also 4 grams of sugar. Now, that didn't per se bother me so much as I am actually, I'm watching my carbs. I am low carb and I'm learning how to moderate them to be able to work with the things that I like for having crackers and tuna fish. But this is what I didn't like. Every single cracker I enjoy and I love had this in the bottom of every package. Ingredients derived from a bioengineered source. Now, y'all, when I think about these, for the most part, all my life I've been eating it and I didn't care. Well, today I'm taking and working with my health a lot better. And I honestly, from a year ago until now, I have to admit I feel 100% better since I started learning more and more about our food. Since I started getting more and more into homemade and more into homesteading. I have learned a lot. This was one of them. And I cannot help but wonder, does bioengineered food mean that there's something in there that we don't know about? Bioengineered is basically from labs. Labs are working on something within this food. Is it extra resources of a sugar? Is this hidden soy oils or oils that are really not healthy? So I look at these ingredients. There's syrup in these things. There's malt syrup in this. There's cornstarch. There's sugar. Corn and barley. Okay, I get this, but 1, 2, 3 different types of syrup plus sugar. Okay, so that I did it. So here's the other ingredients. So I started thinking, I'm wondering, can I make my own? So I got to thinking, what are some of the ingredients? Well, we know it's tomato basil, sun-dried tomato basil. Okay, so what if I did this? Read the ingredients, and we know there's salt, leavening. Well, that's yeast. Leavening is. There's baking soda in this. Tomato powder. Sun-dried tomato powder. Paprika. Garlic powder. Spices include basil, onion powder, dried red and green peppers, yeast extract, which also could be, nutritional yeast, and natural flavors. It contains celery, sulfur dioxide, and to preserve freshness. Okay, so there's also celery in here. So when I started thinking about this, I started looking around the grocery store. I took time. My vegetable crackers had the same ingredients: celery, tomato powder, red and green bell peppers, garlic, onion. They had the same things. Now, the only difference with these is there is basil in here. So, can I make this on my own? And how? So I went looking at some of the instant soups. Now, you do know that there's some vegetable soup mix, dehydrated, at the grocery store. And these are things you can opt to do, y'all. I am not telling you you cannot. This is totally up to you, but this is what we are doing in this homestead to improve our health. I don't ever tell anybody else what to do. If you want to go buy a box of these, go buy a box of these. If you want to buy the soup mix, go absolutely buy that soup mix. I am looking at for us and what I am fixing to change. I am no longer buying these because there is a way. I found a way I can make it. I can make enough stock to make plenty of it, and it's probably going to come out way cheaper than over $5 for a box of these. So here's what I found. The vegetable soup mix that we use for like our spinach dip, or our spinach dip or vegetable soup. I thought, okay, well, that's safe. So I started reading it, and it had everything I absolutely needed to make these crackers. But again, I looked through the whole thing. I never would have believed it, but guess what I found? Yep, it was a product or ingredients derived from a bioengineered source. I'm like, vegetables? Really? So my brain goes to thinking, how can I do this? And I had a epiphany. The light bulb, can you see it over my head? I had an idea. I own dehydrators. I just got through doing my apples and my cranberries. So I decided to look at my ingredients, buy whole, fresh vegetables, my red pepper, homegrown green bell peppers, store-bought celery. These are already dehydrated, so I don't have to dehydrate celery. But if I catch it on sale, I'm absolutely going to be dehydrating some more. Tomato paste. I am going to, yes, you can dehydrate tomato paste and turn it into a powder. Now I would not necessarily use sun-dried tomatoes and dehydrate them, for the simple reason a lot of them have oil in it. I will not use oil. Now, if you can find a pack that doesn't have the oil, then that would be a different story. But tomato paste will absolutely work for tomato powder. Same thing for a sun-dried tomato. It's just a powder, and this is absolutely cool that we can do this. There's nothing but tomatoes in this can. And then my carrots. Well, I will tell you that normally Dollar Tree has freeze-dried carrots, y'all. But I went to go get my freeze-dried carrots to turn them into powder, and they were gone. There was none. They didn't even have any on the shelf. So my next alternative, I went to frozen carrots, and I'm going to put these on my dehydrating shelf, and I'm going to dehydrate them and turn them into powder. everything that I have mentioned, from the red bell pepper, green bell pepper, tomato paste, carrots, and my celery. All of those are the main ingredients for vegetable crackers, or even these tomato basil crackers. I am going to dehydrate, turn them into a powder, and do a ratio mix of every ingredient. And I may do a 1-on-1 ratio. I am going to test this before I present this, but I'm letting you know what I'm fixing to do. Once I get that flavor balance ratio, I am also going to make my crackers. I'm going to try those crackers and see if I can make a homemade vegetable wheat thin and a tomato basil wheat thin using whole wheat flour and simple ingredients, whole ingredients, not bioengineered from a lab. I cannot stand that these ingredients are on our shelves. It seriously bothers me when back in the biblical days, I'm sorry y'all, we did not have this. We had homegrown, we had homemade. Bioengineered doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It just means it's their mass production, and mass production is actually, in the end, literally hurting us with our health. So another type of cracker I love, y'all, I'm sorry, but I love my Cheez-Its. And again, every single cracker on the shelf, yes, I took the time to look, had bioengineered products. So without using bioengineered, using whole foods, I am going to make my own, whether it be from shredded sharp cheddar cheese or even from Hoosier Hill Farms, a dried form of cheese into my cracker to get my flavoring. I'm going to make my own crackers, y'all. I'm going to be making sourdough crackers, everything bagel crackers with sourdough discard. And I am, like I'm doing the cranberries, I will be doing segments of homemade crackers. We are heading into winter season. Fall is getting cooler. We all love our soups and we all love our stews. And with that usually comes crackers. We have our holidays coming up, and sometimes we will put out a charcuterie board, or we will put out a display snack, which will be derived from crackers. Now, many of you are also, like us, you're paying attention to your health. So I am bringing this up with you. If you have crackers, I challenge you, go look in every one of your cracker boxes and see if I'm lying to you. So my thing is I'm going to be doing a bunch of crackers so that I could show you all what I'm fixing to do homemade. Now I understand that a lot of you have busy schedules in your life and you don't have time during the week. Well, what about some weekends maybe, or when there is actual time? Sometimes we say we don't have time. I've done it so many times myself. When technically I did, I just wasted it. So I am learning not to waste, because if I want to stay healthier, I could easily just go to the store, spend $6 for a box of crackers, which blows my mind anyways with the price, let alone getting bioengineered food. So I'm going to make my own. And then once I make it, once I test it, once I get that recipe, I'm going to bring it to you. The other thing I'm learning, oh Lord, let me get some of my cold products put back in the fridge, because this is another thing that I want to share with you. Okay, my family, so here's the one. I don't always believe everything that I read or see, especially online. Frankly, it's just some of these things could sound awful crazy. Now, although I am logical minded, I will take into effect of maybe weighing out options here, but there's a lot of things I don't agree with, and I'll just be honest, I don't. But some things I may find it hard. I happened to come up on a video that I watched this morning, and it had me thinking. I mean, I see a lot of these preppers and stuff, and frankly, I am one of them. But in moderation to the fact is I am a seasonal prepper, basically, and nothing else. Now, there are some who do a whole lot more, and I totally get it, but Now, I will go up maybe a year or two, depending on the circumstances. I do pay attention, y'all. So with that paying attention, I will do what I have to accordingly. So I was watching this video and it was talking about upcoming shortages in the grocery store, or some that is happening now. Frankly, I thought some were I thought it was kind of crazy. So while I went on my adventure with my crackers thing, I also decided, well, what the heck? Is it going to hurt me to test this out? I was blown away. Because honestly, it became the truth. As many of you know, I am also Mediterranean. And with Mediterranean, I go through a lot of chickpeas. I love my hummus. Falafels are absolutely amazing. It is a good fiber source to put in my diet. So I do tend to want to have some stalks of chickpeas. Well, honestly, I have not done that yet. I kind of wished I did. Chickpeas was one of those things that was on the list of being in a shortage. I would have never thought that. But when I went to my grocery store, Walmart, when I went there today, I'm here to tell you there was absolutely zero chickpeas. There were no dry chickpeas. And there was a very small selection of canned chickpeas. And I thought, wow, could this really be something? The second one that was on the list of 10 was elbow macaroni pastas. And so I went to the pasta section, and my selection, again, just like it was last year, was very slim. The elbow macaroni was the least on the shelf. So today I went and grabbed some pasta for the winter. Y'all, some things that we may hear, we may think are absolutely crazy, but when we go to check them out for ourselves, and we find that this is the truth, I went looking. Another one that was on the list is tomato products. Now, mind you, remember, I told you I had to get some tomato paste because I'm learning to dehydrate that to make my powder. You know, it kind of feels like we're being stopped to doing anything for ourselves. That is an opinion I will state, and I'm going to leave it at that. I try not to go any further than to what I concentrate on here: low carb, Mediterranean, homesteading, homemade, living healthier, and helping people through hard times. But sometimes I have to say something. And when it comes down to taking foods away that is good for us, is this a shortage? Is this actually, the prices that we're seeing are so sky high anymore, it's ridiculous. Now, I can't help to feel that maybe some of these people are really making some pocket money, but can I prove it? No. So I have to do what I have to do. Now, tomato products was on that list, and I will tell you my selection at my Walmart was few. Our tomato products are actually, in reality, getting less and less on our shelf. So folks, I am not going to tell you to run out and stockpile. Please don't do that. But I will tell you, if you can do a little extra, you've got the holidays coming. Get a little extra and put them in your shelf. Be ready for the holidays at least. Take care of your family. And do what you have to do for this. Now, I also, because I only had a certain amount of tomato paste, and I'm not taking from everybody else, I am going to dehydrate some of this, but I also have some Roma tomatoes. These were like 98 cents a pound, so I grabbed some of these to make sun-dried tomatoes. Because remember, my sun-dried tomato and basil crackers I like use sun-dried tomatoes, so I can absolutely dehydrate these to a crisp, turn them into powder, and have that sun-dried tomato with this. And it will enhance my tomato flavor. Another good source. Now, I had priced Himalayan sea salt at Walmart. No. Oh, that was expensive. Over $6 for a pound. But Now, it's a hit or miss. I'm absolutely going to tell you this is a hit or miss. But I have 1 pound of Himalayan sea salt from Dollar Tree. And I got it for $1.25. It is Himalayan sea salt. It is not derived from anything funky from what I can see. And for $1.25, it has worked in my kitchen. I've been buying this for a year. And this is where I get my sea salt. I get some of my herbs and seasonings from the Dollar Tree. I will get some of my tuna fish and all from the Dollar Tree. Sometimes Dollar Tree, y'all, is really no different than if you go to Dollar General or anything else. You do what you got to do to provide for your family. Just be mindful of others. That's the only thing I ask. Be mindful of others. There's a lot of products that I am fixing to help me and my husband through this winter because everything has changed so bad. Our prices have risen so much. And when we are more conscious about our health. Now, talk about our health. I do want to tell you what I experimented with last night that totally blew my mind. So, I am trying a method with my husband. You all know that we took him from 9.7 A1C down to 5.4 normal. Now, with that, we had gotten him off of his metformin. He went from 243 pounds to 189 pounds, or 186. And that fluctuates, just like mine does. Everybody's does, because there's a thing called water weight gain and all this other stuff. So you will, within a couple pounds here and there, fluctuate. But in the most part, we are maintaining. So we had gotten him off his metformin. Then we ended up seeing a heart specialist because now all of a sudden, after 14 years, they wanted to do something about his heart. Eventually, that ended up as, don't want to see you for 6 months. You're really not that important. However, we're going to keep you on the medication, which happened to have been a different diabetic medication. Now, at some point, we looked at this as defeat. Because now he can't get off of this one. So, we decided that we were going to test, again, different products to bring normality into him under moderation. And then the simple fact that maybe I could test some of these methods that I've learned, that freezing bread sources have been said that they decrease some of the effects of the blood sugar spiking. We're going to test that method. So I guess he's been the guinea pig for a year, and we'll be the guinea pig now. And he's willing to test that because there was something I did last night that was absolutely crazy. I never thought I could, but it became a game changer, believe it or not. Now, at one point, this man, he loves his biscuits. He really does. And he has missed a real biscuit. But the other problem that he was doing was eating biscuits from canned. Now, those were loaded with sugar, bioengineered products, and everything else, something we should not have been eating, yet he absolutely loved them. But then when I made the homemade also, he would gorge on those because he liked them as well. So, yesterday I decided to, what the heck, let's try this again. It is now a year later. He got to enjoy one biscuit versus his 3 to 4, mind you. Seriously, he would eat 3 to 4 at one time on a plate back then. So that was a big change from him, from 3 to 4 down to 1. And I was really proud of him that he was actually satisfied. And matter of fact, so satisfied that when he got to eat that biscuit, that man was literally smiling. But yet behind that smile, I could see in his eyes, he was just as afraid as I was, because we do not want to see him spike. I do know how to take care of it if he does, but if it's at all possible, we try to avoid that. But we wanted to try something. I made a biscuit and I never turned my oven on, y'all. I actually made a biscuit on the stovetop. And that it turned out to be absolutely amazing. I never knew a biscuit could be that fluffy and that tall. It was like I could not believe that this was sitting on a pan on my stove and making the prettiest biscuit I ever saw, besides coming out of an oven. And it got me thinking, if the power went off, we have a wood heater. And I will be, by the way, when time comes to lighting that wood heater, I was asked if I would do a video about it, and I absolutely will. I will take you guys through the process of what we did in this little tiny cabin to build a wood heater and what we have. But it's got like 2 round plates. It's a small little elongated heater, but it really throws out a lot of heat in this house. So I got to thinking, if worse came to worse and I just didn't want to turn on my oven, saving on the electricity and the heat, or if the power went off, I could make biscuits on top of that stovetop or on top of that wood heater as well. That became a game changer. But in the process, I told my husband, you're on this medication, let's try it. He was like, I'm all for it. Now, granted, you all know he don't like to test, but he did. 2 hours after he ate that biscuit, y'all, his blood sugar was 115. Now, I don't know if it was because it was completely homemade, because of the method that it was cooked in, or what. Or is it the medication he is on? But he safely got to enjoy that one biscuit. I since then have put the last of the batch in the freezer, and we will test him again to see if there's a decrease or if it remains the same, if the freezer method really does make a difference or not. So we'll be testing that out, and when I find out, I'll definitely let you know. But it was a game changer for him because he actually got to enjoy that biscuit. We may be reevaluating. We were looking at this being on his medication as being a bad thing. Now, that's not saying we're going to stop doing what we're doing, because I still eat low carb, and he does too. He does not want to gain all that weight back. He does not want to be raising his A1C, because I'm going to tell you, I don't care what medication you're on. If you don't take care of yourself, you're going to totally ruin everything. The only thing that'll happen is you will absolutely gain your weight back. You will absolutely destroy your pancreas again. Your sugar will skyrocket, and you will be issued more and more diabetic medication. We're monitoring things. We're keeping it at a minimal, and he is on one medication. He was off of all. So we're going to try to keep it that way, but we're also going to allow him occasionally to enjoy that normality food. And I'm figuring out how to do it for him, how to keep it under control and without going crazy on it. So these are the things I'm going to be working with him, and as I do, I will work with you. Now, I know some of you are like him. You are super sensitive to carbs, and this man is. He has always been super sensitive to carbs. Like I said, I don't know what's changing, or if the fact is that maybe he's lost all this weight and improved his health, that could be what's helping him along too, to normalize his life just slightly. So these are what's coming up, y'all. I will go ahead and do a video on how I make biscuits on the stovetop. I will be doing a video on our wood heater, what we use to install it, and how we have one here in our tiny house. And I will be doing segments on cracker making, because personally, I don't know. I mean, seriously, is there anything wrong with bioengineered? To tell you the truth, I really don't know. Just the name bioengineered, products made in a lab, basically is what it comes down to, because I looked it up, does not sound normal to me. It just does not sound something like I want to take and put something like that in my mouth, y'all. I don't know what they're doing in a lab. I don't know what is in my food. I don't know how modified or whatever else. I do know cottonseed oil, soybean oil. None of these are good products, and it's in a lot of our food. But when I make it homemade, I know exactly what's in it. I'm using whole foods. and you cannot modify that. So I'm going to be doing, and I am finding honestly that I enjoy the flavor of homemade so much better, and it is coming out a lot cheaper, y'all. I can get more for my money as well. So I am hoping that you will stay tuned. I hope you're getting ready for this because the holidays are coming and I'm trying to cut costs for myself. A lot of us have big families. A lot of us like to have our appetizers or our charcuterie boards or crackers and soups, and y'all, we just like good things. Homemade takes time, but it is absolutely worth it when it comes to flavor, nutrition, and we know what's in it. It's not modified. So I hope that you're going to stick with me. I hope you're going to enjoy what's coming up next, and I hope you look forward to what we're about to do. Now, I am testing right now some yellow squash. I seen that I got some little tiny babies on it. I don't know how long it's going to last because our temps have been in our 40s. We are going to start climbing after tonight, back in the 50s and 60s for the lows. I'm trying to hang on to this, but we'll see what happens. If I can, that means I can get some zucchini and maybe some yellow squash, even just for a little bit. But I never thought, honestly, I never thought about being able to make my own tomato powder. Well, I did do that, but my own vegetable mix powder, I would have never imagined that bioengineered products were in a package of, what is that, Knox vegetable mix or something like that? I can't even remember the name of it, but it's the one everybody uses to make spinach dip with, or vegetable soup mixes with it. So it's just, it blew my mind. So here I am, learning to make my own. Let's see what happens. Let me see if I can change the flavoring, and let me see if I can replicate making my own recipe, taking a base and adding my ingredients. And when I do, should I succeed, you know I'm going to share it with you. So until then, I've enjoyed this coffee moment with you immensely, y'all. I not worry, but I do care about you just as much as I care about us. I do care what we eat anymore. I do care what happens to our health anymore. In the biblical times, way before we were ever existed in our lives, people were living to be over 900 years old. When we think about that today, it sounds awful crazy. You know, why would we even want to live that old? But they were so much healthier, y'all. And today we are lucky. Seriously, we are blessed if we can get past 60 years old. And that should be terrifying. The highest rate most generally is about 75 to 80. Y'all, I would like to live a little longer if I can. I'd like to be vibrant as much as possible. I started late in life before realizing everything that's going on. But I did not, I've learned that nothing is ever too late. So I do care about you. I care about many, and that is the reason why I started these YouTube channels in the first place. So until next time, we will be back in the kitchen again. Cranberry sauce for diabetics. All right, y'all, here is what I had learned. Not all is lost, though, mind you, when I finish this. The extension office got back with me. And unfortunately, y'all, we are digging a little bit deeper about using the product called Splenda or Stevia, Truvia. There are certain products that have been able to be used with jams and jellies, but cranberries become a different category. So I'm not going to tell you you can do what you want to. I try to stay on the safe side, and I know there's a lot of rebel out there, and basically the rebel because they didn't test everything. I absolutely get that. But I want to be safe. So here's what I learned. Unfortunately for diabetic, sugar-free cranberry sauce, we cannot can that. But we can freeze it. So it is freezable. If you want to make up a couple stocks of it and have it ready for Thanksgiving dinner or for Christmas and don't want to have to prepare it, I am going to be making a batch very, very soon. So after I make that batch up, I will more than likely be freezing mine. Now, you can also use this recipe that I make just for at that moment. So it doesn't have to necessarily be frozen. But unfortunately, we cannot. I thought I canned it last year, and I actually didn't can that. I actually canned regular cranberry sauce, and it came down to is that was just before we found out my husband was diabetic. When I made the sugar-free, it's what I did spot on. I had to think back a year ago what I did. So it was at that time I made him for Thanksgiving dinner a sugar-free cranberry sauce. So that's exactly what I'll be doing with you. Unfortunately, you can't can it, but you can freeze it. So we are going to make that sauce for you. And I'm going to tell you, by the time we're done, you will not find it taste any different than what you have with the rest of the family who has with sugar or those who use the can. Honestly, it tastes even better homemade. So look forward to that as well. We will be doing that because we're still doing cranberry segments. The one that will be held off will wait till after the season when I can get my hands, unless I can get my hands on it sooner with a good price. More than likely the cranberry juice sugar-free, that's going to be held off because I need a good stock of cranberries to do that. At least 11 packs. Preferably more because I really love that cranberry. It makes great tea, just drinks on its own. So it's amazing. So look forward to that one, but much later, even after the holidays. So we will be doing the cranberry sauce next, and then we are going to be getting into crackers. Today, I'm fixing to prep and start dehydrating some vegetables. So until next time, much love to each and every one of you from Parton's Heritage Homestead.